Morocco's southern provinces.
Yes.
What's your assessment of the human situation there?
Well, the purpose of our trip was to visit with as many people and NGOs and government entities that we could find so that we understand what's really happening in Morocco and the Western Sahara. And it's been an exhausting trip. We have visited with so many people. I have worked for 2 presidents of the United States, and I dispense with diplomatic language and try to speak in the language of women and mothers and grandmothers. And I am a grandmother. And I am pleased to say that I connected with people in a real way. I heard the stories told from the hearts of not just women, but men as well. And as an activist, I'm a little bit ashamed of myself and my country from the standpoint that we've allowed this tragic and sad situation to continue while we've been focused on other human rights situations. And I wish I had taken action on this much earlier.
You have been to the southern provinces, you have witnessed the socio-economic development project there. What could you say about this?
Well, I could say that Dakhla simply dazzles. It's just unbelievable, the economic development, the triumph over tragedy, the creativity of the people. It just shines. It's really, really amazing. I really want to bring my family here. I'm an anthropologist, and I take that view of the world. I try to see things in their entirety. I try to see things in the history of time, and I'm just blown away by what I see in Dakhla, from the environmental side, from the physical side. It's just one of the most beautiful places on earth. I've worked in 144 countries, and this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. The Atlantic, the seascape, it just unbelievable. The dunes are exquisite. The hospitality is just unbelievable. I think it's booming. It's going to boom, and I'm glad I got to see it before it blossoms too much. But I went to a wonderful facility where they are producing tomatoes, cherry tomatoes that I eat, at home like candy, and just seeing what they're doing there. The economic vitality is palpable. You can see it, it's real, and it's the kind of place where you just want to spend time.
You have talking about life blossoming in the southern provinces, but on the other side, there are people suffering in the teaching of camps.
I know.
How far do you think Autonomy project could be a solution to the suffering of children, women, grandmothers in these camps?
Well, there's so many layers to the truth. And part of what I feel badly about is that there's so much disinformation out there. People with famous names coming in and seeing just a couple of people and making assignments not assignments, but making statements that are based on one person's political perverted view and one group of people who are have one way of looking at things instead of looking at it in its entirety. I think if the people in the camps in Tindouf knew what life was like in the southern provinces, instead of relying on this politically imposed situation of being hostages in effect, if they heard the truth, they would simply leave and be part of what's going on there. The numbers in the camps are reducing. There are fewer and fewer people there. The Polisario leadership does not live in the camps. They live in mansions all over the world. And it's just a dishonest, untruthful situation. And these poor people in the camps are there because they've been subjected to the worst kind of disinformation campaign. And the world needs to look at that, and the world needs to act on that. My fear, as I mentioned, is that things will deteriorate. They are deteriorating. The situation in the camps are deteriorating. You know, I met with the head of MINURSO, very concerned about the security situation. The aid that's supposedly coming to the camps, we've had GPS markers put in them, and they end up all over making money for people in the Polisario, but not impacting the people in the camps. And this is tragic, and this should be changed now. This is the only situation that I know of where the UN does not monitor the aid that's distributed. That's immoral. That's just immoral. And the fact that children are sent to Cuba or Spain or Algeria for their education and they're separated from their families, what kind of life is that? What kind of quality of life is it to live in a camp where you don't even have a functioning bathroom and your children are sent away? What kind of psychological impact does that have, not just today, but over time? When these children become adults, families just fall apart. It's a great tragedy, and I'm very, like I said, ashamed that the world community has not focused on the people in these camps. I'm worried that it will become a flashpoint. More and more security issues emerge, and here we are, we've just had these demonstrations, we've just had a friend of mine die in Benghazi, and what an insult that is. But we know through intelligence people that I know in the United States that people are being recruited. Young people who have no alternative are being recruited from the camps. And they're being taught to do all sorts of things that are illegal, trafficking in drugs, working for AQIM, doing all sorts of things that will create chaos. And this must end.
And this misery and this very bad situation is affecting children, which means it's a long-term misery.
Yes.
Years ahead.
Yes.
So
yes.
something should be done now. Do you think, how do you evaluate Autonomy project as a solution to end this suffering?
Well, you know, I think Autonomy would work, and I think it's the only thing that will work. But I'll say this, the Moroccan government is spending a lot of money, time, and effort. Yet, they need to be more aggressive. I think they're too nice. I think they rely on lobbyists in Washington to get the word out about what they should be doing. But, you know, lobbyists tend to be nice, shiny, smiley people, and they don't tend to be the kind of people that builds the momentum that needs to change things. I think the Moroccan government should be a little more heavy-handed with the United States, and particularly with Algeria. I think they should be much more engaged in the UN process, this fourth committee that's happening. It's sort of like, let's go along, we know we're in the right, so it'll be resolved eventually. But by taking that stand back, we are nice people approach, they're perpetuating the problem. They need to act. They need to act. And if they need a red-headed Irish woman to tell them how, I'm willing to be there on the front lines for them in Washington. But we need to document all the things that are happening in a uniform way. It needs to be pulled together in one place, and we need to move forward. The relationships between our countries are so strong, and I think that the United States needs Morocco at this time. We need Morocco because of the very security questions that we were talking about. By stabilizing this region, by working closely with Morocco, we are allowing this relationship to grow, and we're stabilizing not just this region, but the entire world. And I think those events in Benghazi and Tunisia certainly highlight that. And I think we have a window of opportunity to expand our relationship and to really find ways that we could work more closely together. The Moroccan people and the American people are very similar, and I think they're connected at the heart. You know, Morocco was the first country to recognize the United States, and there's just a lot of synergy and energy and a lot of very positive things that should move forward with our relationships with one another.
As you said earlier, you worked for 2 presidents.
Yes.
Do you think change of the president, as we know, there are presidential elections soon. Do you think change of the presidents will affect the U.S. position regarding the Sahara issue?
I honestly don't think it will change, because I think there is an understanding on both sides that this is a primary relationship, that it's necessary for the stability of this region and to minimize impacts in European cities and American cities. So I just wish that President Obama, who I voted for, had been more engaged on the foreign policy side. I am a big fan of Hillary Clinton, and I believe that she's the best thing Obama has going for him. In terms of Mitt Romney, I think he's a very nice man, and I think he's very not weak. He's less experienced on the international side. But I do know a lot of people in his campaign, his advisors, people who would be closely involved in the changeover and the maintaining of policy, and I believe that he would probably be even more encouraging of a relationship with Morocco.
Last question, you have been to Morocco, you have met Moroccan people. What can you say about Morocco and Moroccan people?
Oh, I think that I'm Moroccan in my heart now. It's a marvelous country, and this is my 3rd trip, and I'm an anthropologist, and what I most want to do is to see the ancient lifeways here. I want to see the archaeology, and my dearest friend keeps promising me to take me on to these spots, to take me to Fez, to meet with her mother and sit in the kitchen and talk, and to go to archaeological sites and see Sahara in particular, and cave paintings, and yeah, it's so I'm very excited. So the next trip, I'm going to be very clear that I need a few days just to be here and to learn this city, this country, from its ancient roots, and then we'll work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.